Welcome back to the top 145 Mario Kart tracks of all time. We are in the direct middle of these rankings. We are ranking numbers 87 to 59 today, and we are kicking off this video with Shy Guy Bazaar at number 87. This is from Mario Kart 7, and it is the final track in the Mushroom Cup. And it's a pretty easy track if you know what you're doing. You can take this little shortcut by going above the town area, and it's giving me Aladdin type of vibes. Just the whole scenery with the Arabic style of walls and paintings and just the way they decorate the town, and this night celebration is kind of really doing justice to the whole vibe they're going for. I also like the layout of the track in terms of functionality and how it is to drive. As a particularly easy track, it demonstrates the glider mechanics well, and it also has a few shortcuts at the end of the track that you can take advantage of, particularly with mushrooms or stars. And overall, this track is a joy to play with its uniqueness. Up next is 86. We have Banshee Boardwalk from Mario Kart 64. Now this track is pretty unique. It's not very hard. There's a lot of guardrails and it's pretty easy to see the road. It's like a more fleshed out Ghost Valley track if you really think about it. But the thing about this one is that it is one track right before Rainbow Road in the Special Cup. So normally that's where a Bowser Castle takes place. But for some reason they decided to have this track placed right before Rainbow Road. They didn't do that in Super Mario Kart, and they're not doing it again here in Mario Kart 64, although this definitely fills the more horror, intimidating theme type of track. And I think they do a good job setting the atmosphere. You got a lot of boos in the background, but I just think it's a little bit too easy to be the third track in the Special Cup. They could have done a bit better here. Now up next at 85, we have Daisy Cruiser from Mario Kart Double Dash. This track is in the Flower Cup, and there's really no other track like it. What other track in Mario Kart history allows you to drive on a cruise ship for its entirety? This is what Daisy Cruiser does. You can take this shortcut where you go inside the perimeter of the pool instead of having to go all the way around it. Saves a few seconds, nothing too crazy, not the fastest strat you can do. You have two mushrooms, of course, when you're doing time trials. But anyways, you go past this dining room area, and then you have these two paths. You don't think it's two paths, but you can go down this hole. It's quite a bit slower because the drop down really slows you down. You know, you're in the air, so that adds a lot of time. But then once you get off the cannon, you are back and going to loop around. When you're playing multiplayer, there's actually tubes that you can run into before you go up the stairs. Now up next at 84, we have Wario's Gold Mine from Mario Kart Wii. A pretty difficult track. It's not too tricky, but if you know what you're doing, you can definitely get by it. One of the hardest parts is right here after this first drop. There's no guardrail, so if you're a lightweight character and get bumped, you can fall off pretty easily. And this track also has some of the worst respawns in the game. You can get respawned at the top right by the starting line. You can also get respawned at the top right over here if you fall off on this downward curve. And the bats are also really annoying, which we just passed earlier. And then there's also these minecarts that are moving all across the stage. You can go behind the minecarts and follow their track for a little exploration, but I'd recommend not doing that if you're trying to win the race. You also have a nice little shortcut area that is one of the easiest shortcuts to pull off in the game. You could do a nice low trick and attempt an ultra shortcut. But besides that, we now have Rock Mountain. When you climb out of the mines into the clear, fresh air, here is what you're going to see. You got the classic hills from the new Super Mario Bros. Series. You got some pipes. Of course, you got the return of the bats. They can really ruin your day and shove you right into the wall, as you can see right here. And then you got some nice lighting effects that highlight some of the coins on the road. Those can definitely help guide you to give you a bit more speed. And then, of course, this is the track I was talking about that really demonstrates the power of the glider. When you go off the ramp, you are just free flying for dozens of seconds, about 10 to 12 seconds actually. Like I said, how Cheep Cheep Lagoon was made specifically to demonstrate the water physics of the new underwater mechanic in Mario Kart 7. This track is made to demonstrate the glider mechanic, and it does it really well with two pretty satisfying glider areas, followed up with this massive, almost 90-degree uphill turn. It's more like 80 degrees it seems to me, but regardless, it's a fun track to play. And now we have Super Mario Kart's Mario Circuit 3 out of 4. Yes, there are 4 Mario Circuit tracks in this game, but shockingly enough, they're all pretty fun. Despite how bare and boring they may look, The layouts are pretty interesting, they're not too difficult. This one has one tricky turn that you almost have to slow down for, but besides that, this one is kind of hilarious, and you get to do a lot of twists and turns, and there's just plenty to do on this track. If you get a good breakaway, you are pretty much all set. Of course, this was remade in Mario Kart Wii, but the original still holds up pretty well. Alright, and taking quite the dip in the rankings is Luigi's Circuit from Mario Kart Double Dash. Now, I really enjoy this track. This track is very nostalgic for me, of course, because it's the first Mario Kart track of the first console Mario Kart game I've ever played, Mario Kart Double Dash, and it's got one of the more unique mechanics I've ever seen to a Mario Kart track that hasn't really been replicated since, and where you drive forward and back the exact same path. They're intertwining with each other. You know, there's no wall separating between them, unless sometimes when you're doing single player Grand Prix there is a barrier, but other times when you're just doing time trials or playing this track regularly, there's no wall, and it's just a very unique style that we haven't really seen in other tracks before, so I enjoy it for that level of simplicity. Now coming up next here we have Delfino Square from Mario Kart DS, ranking at number 80. This is in the Flower Cup. Maybe it has a little bit of inspiration from Super Mario Sunshine because it takes a huge focus on the Delfino area and the Piantas, which were mainstays and originated in Super Mario Sunshine. Of course, when you're in this town area, it gets quite tight, so if you're not really that good at drifting, then you maybe just have to slow down so you don't hit into any of these houses. You can also maybe take a shortcut on the left or a shortcut on the right over here. You can cut off this mud if you have a mushroom on you and, you know, maybe not hit into the wall. But besides that, this drawbridge is also really cool. It goes up and down, allowing you to get some air, but normally you would probably prefer it to be down, and it's a unique and fun layout for a Delfino track. Now here comes another first track, an intro track. There were plenty of those in the last couple of videos, but this one is Mario Kart Stadium, one of the better first tracks in my opinion. It's got a couple shortcuts here and there, but it's the ambiance of the track that really brings it all together. It's one of the more colorful tracks, having blue, yellow, and red, you know, lines and roads leading you up to the anti-gravity section. This really demonstrates that anti-gravity level for you. It doesn't do it completely justice, but of course it's a beginner friendly track. It's got beautiful scenery with the fireworks and the crowd. I always like these stadium tracks that are very lit up and at night. It brings just a level of intensity to a match that you don't really necessarily need, but is generally wanted and always accepted. So I love this track for how it looks. Now moving on to 78, we are continuing with the Mario Kart 8 and 8 Deluxe tracks. We have Wild Woods, where this track actually keeps you on anti-gravity from the start. You're riding up the bark of a tree, which is going vertical, of course. You're on a bridge, go through a couple of branches, and then you enter a village, a Shy Guy village inhabited by these Shy Guys. Of course, almost reminds me of the Ewok village from episode 6 of Star Wars Return of the Jedi. Fun movie, and this is a fun little callback to that. In my opinion, it reminds me of that. But this is also a pretty easy track, showing up in the second DLC pack for Mario Kart 8 when it originally came out in 2015 on the Wii U alongside 200cc. And like I said, this track is almost over. It's got one pretty cool shortcut at the end that I would demonstrate for y'all, but I just love how it demonstrates the anti-gravity and the whole aesthetic of using the trees to their advantage. It's pretty cool. Alright, and this one's just a fun classic for me. This is Snowland from Mario Kart Super Circuit on the Game Boy Advance. Of course, another nominee for the most boring and generic Mario Kart track name ever. But here's the thing, I just really enjoy this track's atmosphere. I enjoy how fun it is. It's got really awesome music. It's got these snow crystals in the background. It's got the snowballs falling down you in front of you in this foreground area. It's got a little boost panel here and there to keep you going straight, to keep your momentum going forward. And it's just one of those classics that I just really enjoy for no simple reason. It gives me nostalgia whenever I play this track because I used to play this all the time as a kid. And there's always a few little things about it, like you got this shortcut that always feels satisfying, and that's why I like it. Now, one of the rare tracks to not change position from its ranking 5 years ago, we have Toad's Factory from Mario Kart Wii. Mushroom Cup. It's the 4th track, just like we had in the beginning of the video, but this track has some new mechanics as you're seeing right now. We've got conveyor belts that can go speed you up or slow you down, taken up a notch over here where they can go left and right with these crate boxes in the way, but in time trials the crate boxes are guarded by metal, so you can actually clip off of them and land over here and save a couple of seconds per lap, which is really cool. It's really difficult to pull off, and instead you can always just opt for this pretty simple shortcut, which I demonstrate in horrible fashion, and use these boost panels to your advantage so you're not stuck in the mud. This track always brings interesting races, and I love everything that this track has to offer to the game. Alright, and coming up next, 75, we have a Boo Lake from Mario Kart Super Circuit. Just look at the detail in that mansion in the background. It's not exactly Luigi's mansion, but it is still ominous and intimidating. You got these purple trees that don't have any leaves on them. They're all dead. And then you also have that secret bridge that is almost so hidden you can't even see it until right about when you're about to take it. You have to know it's there and just have to trust that you'll be able to make it and survive the bridge. And then you can also take that shortcut as well. It has a very simple loop. It's got these simple jumps, but overall it brings a lot of fun races to the game, and it's a very fun track to play. It's got that ominous and intimidating atmosphere like I said before, but if you know what you're doing, you can get ahead rather quickly. Now up next, we have Sherbet Land from Mario Kart Double Dash, and this is a track that has fallen quite a bit of spots, and for pretty solid reason. As much as I hate to say it, I really like this track, but the thing about it is that it's just too short and too easy. This is a Star Cup track. It's in the first cup, the first course in the Star Cup. It needs to be longer. It needs to be more challenging. There needs to be more than one spot to fall. There needs to be more than just flat ground. There needs to be more enemies on the road. The icicles, the freezies aren't even here in time trials, so there's just a lot of potential that is just left on the plate for this track, and it could be so much better if the developers expanded upon it, but I'm sad because they just left it how it is. But one track that did do itself justice is Mario Circuit 4 from Super Mario Kart, and I'm kinda shocked that they haven't brought in this track back as a retro track. They brought in all the other 3 Mario Circuits back yet, but not this one. And I find this one the perfect level of difficulty. You may think this one is just too long, too forgettable, too boring, and that might be true. But this track is also pretty difficult, and it has a lot of twists and turns that feel really satisfying if you can pull them off correctly and finish in first place. I don't know, its track, it's got a lot of unique styles and attributes to it that just make it really fun to play, and I enjoy it whenever this track gets picked. Maybe it's a cult classic, who really knows, but there's a lot this track has to offer, and I really hope it gets remade one day. Now, one track that was definitely underrated in my rankings from 5 years ago, we have Dry Ruins from Mario Kart Wii. Yes, this isn't as difficult a track as it probably should be, being the first course in the Special Cup of Mario Kart Wii, but it's a pretty tech-heavy track, and it might be easy to race on for beginners, but it is tough to master. There's a lot of low tricks that you have to do. There's a lot of secret shortcuts you can pull off. You can even mushroom through the sand if you want to, but there's a lot of tricks to this track, and there's a lot of stuff that you need to do if you need to get ahead. There's a lot of different shortcuts, and of course the path changes every time this sand fills up with each lap, and you also have the bats to avoid. So this track does have a lot to offer. Of course, you got to go with the classic Yoshi Sphinx whenever you're in a desert course, so you can always never forget that. But this track is just a really fun one to play and is always satisfying to drive on. But following that, we are going back to the Mario circuits. We have Mario Circuit from Mario Kart 7, of course the second track in the Flower Cup of that game. Not a particularly difficult track, but this track has a lot of unique attributes to it that not many other Mario circuits have. Look at the pink petal leaves falling from these trees, and you don't really see something like this before. There's a lot of cool shortcuts you can take as well, and this track has a mushroom pad, and you see Peach's castle. You're going towards it. What's happening? Oh, that's right, you were going inside of Peach's castle for the first time. You couldn't do it on Royal Raceway, you couldn't do it on any other Mario circuits that had Peach's castle in the background, but in this one from Mario Kart 7, you can go inside its castle, albeit not for very long, and for a really odd twisty turnaround section, like a loop-de-loop. But once you get out of the castle, get out of this pipe, see the Super Mario Bros. Inspiration, you just have a grand jolly time all around. Alright, and up next at 70 is Tick-Tock Clock, of course inspired by the Super Mario 64 level of the same name. It was a very tricky level back in that game's days, and this is a pretty tricky track as well, although not entirely difficult. There's still a few guardrails here to protect you from falling off, but as soon as you pass this pendulum, that's when things get serious. There's some rotating gears here that are going in miscellaneous directions. You can go left, you can go right, but you can't be careful on here or else you might fall off at certain points of the track. You got to be careful every time you go here. There's not many shortcuts you can take, so unfortunately that knocks the track down a few spots for me, but it is a very tech heavy track. The soundtrack is amazing and I do enjoy the layout. It's always a fun and challenging one to play. And sticking to the Star Cup here but switching games, we have Sunshine Airport next from Mario Kart 8 and 8 Deluxe. Now this takes the Mario Sunshine theme and twists it on its head. Of course you got Sunshine theme, but you don't really see this side of the story. Of course, in the beginning of Super Mario Sunshine, Mario, Peach, and Toadsworth went on a plane to travel all the way to Delfino Island. Of course, you don't really see that side of the story often, but it's cool that they portray it here with this airport that they probably took to travel from where they were in the Mushroom Kingdom to Delfino Island, and I just think that's amazing. Great storytelling. But about the track itself, this is just a fun track to play. You don't really get to drive inside of an airplane so often, and that's the thing about Mario Kart 8 and its tracks. These tracks are such high definition, have some fantastic music, and take you places you've never really seen before in Mario Kart tracks. Another one I'd recommend. Now up next we have Woohoo Loop from Mario Kart 7. This is a relatively simple track, but it is a refreshing take on a Mario Kart formula that has stood around for ages. All these Mario Kart tracks are 3 laps long for the most part, the large majority, but this track is the first track in Mario Kart history to be one singular lap long. It is split up into 3 sections instead of laps, which makes it very interesting. It's a huge refresh on the formula, just going through one lap and not seeing the same stuff over and over again. Of course, the track itself, it's a little bland, but Mario Kart 7 gets better with this as it has 3 of these tracks that are 1 lap long. But regardless, yeah, the track is maybe just a little grass and road as we've seen plenty times before, but the formula of it just being 1 lap long, and that there are some awesome shortcuts you can take, that you can skip a lap, make a lap even milliseconds long, take a gigantic shortcut by respawning. There's a lot of cool hidden things about this track that if you go out and explore, you might find yourself and enjoy it when playing. Now up next is Ghost Valley 1 from Super Mario Kart. It is the 3rd track in the Mushroom Cup, and just look at its layout. It is rather simple, but why is it up here? In this game's engine, being this wide, I think this track does a great job scaling it up a bit, just making it that much more fun to play when you have all 8 racers on the field. It also has a shortcut, that bridge right before the finish line, that you can take. If you have a feather, then you can make it, and I believe you might be able to make it with a mushroom as well. It's pretty hard, if not impossible, to do that thing without a mushroom. And this also is the first track in the game to have fall boundaries and the barriers that fall, so you got to be a bit more careful here. But one track that allows you and almost encourages you to be free and mess around in is Royal Raceway from Mario Kart 64. Of course, don't veer off too far to the left, or else you are going to fall deeply into that blue water and have little to no hope of recovery. But as long as you stay on this gray road, you should be really good to go. There's quite a few shortcuts that you can take advantage of to get yourself in the lead. And this track is a rather long one. It's a 3-lap track. It takes almost a minute to complete, if not more. But as soon as you make this bend, that's when things start getting interesting. You will see some boost panels here, along with a long and steady and gradual ramp leading to this massive cannon where, one, you can take a left turn and get a perfect jump and take a shortcut. But look to the right, you see Peach's castle just lying in the background, and look, there's a path so you can keep racing. But if you're just screwing around in time trials, you can go, and here you are in Mario 64, Super Mario 64. You can't go in the castle, but a track that allows you to have this much freedom and exploration, that is something that deserves a lot of credit and notability. But going actually back to tracks that were designed to make you race and not explore, we have one of the most fun tracks out there. This is Music Park. All the horns blasting as soon as you start going, and look at this, you're stroking on the piano keys, you're driving on them, and they are playing. The keys are sounding off as you are going on them. Of course, you guys can't hear them while watching this video, but just trust me, as you go off these piano keys, they are playing and adding notes to the soundtrack, which is awesome. You have these drums that do the same thing, and then just amazing background atmosphere with the EQ levels, and you have glider ramps that switch. And then this is a fun section as well. You got these music notes, these giant music notes that just damage your path. I'm not the biggest fan of the map layout itself, but the scenery, the atmosphere, and just everything around this track that it has to offer makes this one of the more enjoyable experiences in Mario Kart 7. One track that has always fascinated me was Mario Circuit. Yes, I know, another Mario Circuit, but this one is from Mario Kart 8 and 8 Deluxe. Yes, it fell a lot of points because of its simplicity, but I find the layout of the track very intriguing. It is a Mobius strip, so if any track were to demonstrate the anti-gravity, just look at that. You are taking a bridge that twists you around, and you are actually upside down. You may not feel it when you're actually racing because the developers did such a good job, but look at you, the track right above Peach's castle is upside down. You haven't seen anything like this before. You were driving upside down, so when you watch the replay, you're really in awe to see how simple these controls really are and how laid out they are from you. This is a fun track that is almost like driving two figure eights in one, but almost doesn't feel like it. So just the technology and the advancements here gives it up for me. But enough gushing about Mario Circuit, we gotta talk about another circuit track that was introduced as part of the first DLC pack of Mario Kart 8 and 8 Deluxe. This is Hyrule Circuit, of course, themed around that first DLC pack, which was Legend of Zelda themed. As you can see, we have rupees here instead of coins. The attention to detail here is fantastic. Just take a look at how immaculate and perfectly designed this Hyrule Castle is as you're gliding your way into it. And one of the coolest secret details they hid in here is if you hit all three of these anti-gravity boosters, you can launch a ramp that allows you to hit the Master Sword, hear the little, jingle, and have it twirl around. There's a little shortcuts you can take here and there, but the detail, like I said, the callbacks to the Legend of Zelda history and how simple and fun they made this track is, definitely deserves to be quite up here. But anyway, moving on, we have Bowser's Castle from Mario Kart 64. This track actually closes out the Star Cup in this game. It doesn't precede Rainbow Road, and this is the only Mario Kart game to have one Bowser Castle that is not in the Special Cup. That is this game right here. It has a lot of tricky sections. You can almost divide this course up into multiple sections. You have this hallway section where you have to get by thwomps that are aligned in multiple manners, but once you cross this bridge, you are going down the stairs and into this outside courtyard area with a little bit of grass, which you don't see in Bowser Castles often. The thing about this track, it's a little long, it's a little arduous, and it's a little, tedious to complete, but the thing is, it's ominous, it's dark. You hear Bowser's laugh whenever you're going through the halls and hit a thwomp. It's a fun track and it has atmosphere to the walls. But regardless, moving on, we have one of the most unique Mario Kart tracks of all time, and I mean that this time. I know I say that a lot, but this track is the only track in all of Mario Kart history to be only 2 laps long. Of course, you may see some custom tracks here and there that are 2 laps long, but this is the only official Nintendo created Mario Kart track, and the only track you'll see on this ranking that is 2 laps long. Besides Mario Kart Tour, those tracks don't really count because the whole game is 2 laps long. But this track is fun. It's a whole coliseum. When you see the skybox, this entire thing is built inside a circular metal cage, almost like a motorbike arena at like a circus event. But you are going through these guardrails, some nice guardrail sound effects, and yeah, it might not be the most visually impressive track, but just how technically advanced this track is, the many different sections, and this is a very difficult, a very challenging track. This can split into 3 different paths, and it's a fun one, guys. It may not look fun to play, but trust me, once you get through all of these sections, you'll want to keep playing this track and learn to master it, because there's just a lot to uncover here, and it's almost like taking you on a journey, a fun journey that you are just trying to get through. These 2 laps are well worth spent. Now up here at number 60, we finally finally, we almost went 3 whole videos without a Rainbow Road track, and that just goes to show you how crazy good all of the Mario Kart Rainbow Roads are. This one is my least favorite. It has to be. It looks the least like a Rainbow Road. It doesn't play like a Rainbow Road. Of course, it does offer that Rainbow Road challenge, especially if you're on 200cc here. It kind of has this Toad's Factory-esque conveyor belts, almost copied that style a little bit in my opinion. Has a glider cannon that you can go to as well, and I do love this section of the track. It's probably my favorite because you can always just take the anti-gravity booster, go off the edge. You may feel like you're falling off, but nope, you are just doing some awesome path switching, so I find that a lot of fun. Overall, the layout is not as awesome as the other Rainbow Road tracks. The music is pretty on par though. I do enjoy the music, and it's a fun track regardless. But finally, to close out this video for today, guys, we have SNES Bowser Castle 2, of course, from Super Mario Kart. This track there's something about it. Just take a look at it. Look at the map below. You have a dead end sign that you can go down, and you can use a feather to cut off this entire section, and then there's these 2 square block sections. Of course, don't get caught by the corners, guys. That can be really infuriating, but once you learn how to master everything this track has to offer, man, this one's a fun one. You can just grind all the left and right corners, take them as tight as possible, get by these swamps with relative ease. And like I said, if you're racing this in Grand Prix or versus mode, have a feather on you, you can take that shortcut. Oh, it is so satisfying, guys. Get through the thwomps. It's a beautiful way to race. And ladies and gents, that is it for episode 3 of the top 145 Mario Kart tracks of all time. We are almost there. 2 more videos to go. We are getting closer to that #1 ranking, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to like it. Make sure to comment and also subscribe if you're new. I will see you all soon.